Dr. Hannah Kim wiped the sweat from her forehead as she walked through the narrow corridors of the research ship. The metal walls hummed with the sound of engines working deep in space. She had been traveling for 3 months to reach this place, far away from any known star system. The alien ruins they had found were older than anything humans had ever seen before. The other scientists on the ship were excited, but Hannah felt something different. Something was not right about this place. She entered the main research room where a large crystal sat on a metal table. The crystal was as tall as a person and perfectly clear, like the finest glass. Strange symbols glowed softly inside it, moving and changing like living things. This was the star map the team had found buried deep in the ruins. "Good morning, Hannah," said Dr. Jiho Park, looking up from his computer screen. Jiho was younger than Hannah, but very smart with machines and computers. His hair was messy from working all night. "I have been trying to read this thing for hours. The technology is amazing." Hannah walked closer to the crystal. When she got near it, the symbols inside began to move faster. The crystal started to make a low humming sound that seemed to go right through her bones. Other scientists in the room stopped their work to look. "Has it done this before?" Hannah asked. "No," said Jiho, his eyes wide. "It only started when you came in." Suddenly, the crystal burst with light. The entire room was filled with tiny stars floating in the air, like a perfect copy of the galaxy. Every star twinkled and moved slowly in its path around the center. Hannah could see trade routes marked with thin lines of light connecting star systems. She could see which planets had life on them, glowing with a warm golden color. The other scientists gasped and pointed at the beautiful display. Even the alien researchers who worked with the human team seemed surprised. Veltar, a tall creature with 4 arms and gray skin, clicked his teeth together in what Hannah knew was excitement. "This map is perfect," Veltar said in his strange voice. "It shows our galaxy exactly as it is now, even though it was made 50,000 years ago. How is this possible?" Hannah studied the floating galaxy, turning slowly in the air above them. Everything was there. Every star system she knew about, every colony world, every space station. The detail was incredible. She could even see the small asteroid belts and gas clouds between the stars. But then she noticed something wrong. There was an empty space, where something important should be, a dark hole in the galaxy, where no stars floated. Hannah knew that part of space very well. She had grown up looking at those stars through telescopes on Earth. "Jiho," she said quietly, "can you check the coordinates for Sector 7 Alpha?" Jiho pressed buttons on his computer. Numbers appeared on his screen, and his face went pale. "According to our navigation system, there should be a star there, a yellow star with 9 planets, but the map shows nothing." Hannah felt cold. That empty space was exactly where Earth's sun should be. She walked around the floating galaxy, looking at it from different angles. The empty space was perfectly round, as if someone had carefully cut out that part of the map. It was not a mistake or damage from age. Someone had done this on purpose. "Maybe the map is broken," suggested Dr. Minho Choi, another human scientist. He was older than the others, and always tried to find simple answers to difficult questions. But Hannah shook her head. "Look how perfect everything else is. This map knows about star systems we only discovered last year. It shows space stations we built just 5 years ago. This thing can see the present, Minho. It updates itself somehow." Veltar moved closer with his strange sideways walk, his 4 eyes all focused on the empty space. "Perhaps your world was not important to the map makers," he said, but his voice sounded nervous. "Important enough to remove completely," Hannah said. She reached toward the floating galaxy, and her finger went right through the empty space where Earth should be. The darkness felt cold against her skin. The crystal began to hum louder. More symbols appeared inside it, moving faster and faster. The floating galaxy spun quicker, and new details became visible. Hannah saw things that should not exist. Ancient space stations in dark corners of the galaxy. Ships moving between stars that no one had ever mapped. And everywhere she looked, she saw paths that seemed to go around the empty space where Earth should be, as if something was forcing traffic to avoid that area. "This is not random," she whispered. "Someone hid our solar system from this map. They made sure no one could find us." The other scientists gathered around her, all staring at the impossible empty space. Even Veltar seemed worried now, his gray skin changing to a darker color. Hannah felt a chill run down her back. If someone had hidden Earth from a map this old and this powerful, there had to be a very important reason, and she was starting to think that reason might be something humanity was not ready to know. The crystal's humming grew louder, and the galaxy spun faster above their heads, keeping its dark secret floating in the empty space where home should be. The next morning, Hannah sat in the ship's meeting room with all the other scientists. The long metal table was covered with computers and data screens. Everyone was talking at once about the strange star map, but most of them did not believe what Hannah had found. "You are seeing things that are not there," said Dr. Chen Walters, the mission leader. He was a tall man with gray hair who did not like surprises. "Ancient maps always have mistakes. Your Earth is just a small world. Why would anyone care about it?" Veltar nodded his four-eyed head. "Humans always think they are special," the alien said with a sound like laughing. "This map was made by the Zephyrians long before your species could even make fire. They probably did not know your little planet existed." But Dr. Minho Choi was not convinced. He had been working with the crystal all night, running tests with his machines. "I found something strange," he said, putting his data on the big screen for everyone to see. "The empty space is not natural." The screen showed close-up pictures of the area where Earth should be. While other parts of the map looked normal, this section had strange patterns in the crystal itself. Lines of different colored light ran through it like tiny rivers. "Someone changed this map," Minho continued. "They used very advanced tools to cut out information and replace it with nothing. This took great skill and knowledge of Zephyrian technology." Chen Walters frowned. "That is impossible. No one alive today understands how Zephyrian crystals work." "Maybe someone did 50,000 years ago," Hannah said quietly. The room became silent. Everyone stared at her. "Think about it," she continued. "What if the people who made this map knew about Earth? What if they removed it for a reason?" Veltar made an angry clicking sound. "You humans create stories from nothing. There is no mystery here." But Jiho Park had been quiet during the meeting, working on his small computer. Now, he looked up with excitement. "Hannah might be right," he said. "I checked our database of ancient artifacts. We have pieces of other old maps and star charts from different alien races. I found 7 that show the same area of space." He put new pictures on the screen. Each one showed star maps from different ancient civilizations. Some were carved in stone, others were made of metal or crystal. All of them were thousands of years old. "Look at this pattern," Jiho said, pointing to each map. "Every single one has the same empty space where Earth should be. Different aliens, different time periods, all with the same missing section." The room was very quiet now. Even Veltar had stopped making his clicking sounds. "This is not possible," whispered Dr. Sarah Martinez, the team's historian. "How could so many different species all make the same mistake?" "It was not a mistake," Hannah said. "It was planned." She stood up and walked to the big screen. "Someone went to every major civilization in the galaxy and told them to hide information about Earth. They made sure our solar system would not appear on any map or database." "But why?" asked Minho. "That is what we need to find out." Chen Walters shook his head. "This is crazy talk. I will not have my mission turned into a hunt for imaginary conspiracies." But Veltar surprised everyone by speaking up. "Perhaps we should investigate further," the alien said slowly. His skin had turned a darker gray color, which Hannah knew meant he was worried. If there is truth to this, the Galactic Council should know. That night, Hannah and Jiho worked together in secret. They used the ship's main computer to search through every ancient artifact in their database. What they found made them both feel cold with fear. Not only were there more missing entries for Earth's location, but they found something else. Hidden in the data files of 3 different ancient civilizations were fragments of text. The words were in old languages that were hard to read, but their meaning was clear. Warning: the 13th world must stay hidden. Read one fragment. The sleepers must never wake, said another. Keep the children of the void in darkness, said a third. Jiho, Hannah whispered, as they read the ancient warnings. I think Earth was not hidden to protect other worlds from us. What do you mean? I think we were hidden to protect us from something else. Or maybe to protect the galaxy from what we might become. The ship's lights flickered, and both of them looked around nervously. They had been working for hours, and the ship was quiet, except for the sound of engines. We should tell the others. Tomorrow, Jiho said. But when they tried to save their research, they found that half of their files had been erased. Someone, or something, had been watching them work, and had deleted their most important discoveries. Hannah looked at the empty computer screen and felt afraid. Whatever secrets surrounded Earth, there were forces that did not want humans to learn the truth. And those forces were still active, still watching, still working to keep humanity in the dark. Outside the ship's small windows, the stars seemed different now, less friendly, more like the eyes of watchers who had been waiting for a very long time. Dr. Suman Lee had always been good with languages. She could read ancient alien writing that made other scientists give up in frustration. But the symbols hidden deep inside the Zephyrian crystal were different from anything she had ever seen. These are not Zephyrian words, she told Hannah, as they worked together in the quiet research lab. It was late at night, and most of the ship was sleeping. They are much older. From the time before the Zephyrians even existed, Suman had found the hidden text by accident. While studying the crystal with special light, she noticed that some symbols appeared only when the crystal was very cold. These secret messages were buried so deep that normal scanning could not find them. What do they say? Hannah asked, watching Sumin work with her translation computer. Give me a few more minutes, Sumin said, typing quickly. The translation program was having trouble with the ancient language, but slowly, words began to appear on the screen. When the translation was finished, both women stared at the screen in shock. The 13th world remains locked away. Sumin read aloud. The children of the first fire must sleep until the stars grow cold. The watcher's duty must never end. First fire, Hannah whispered. What does that mean? They kept working, finding more hidden messages in different parts of the crystal. Each message was more frightening than the last. Here is another one, Sumin said. Listen to this. They were the hunters before all others. They shaped worlds and broke them. They must never remember what they were. Hannah felt her hands shaking. Suman, I think these messages are about humans, about Earth, but that is impossible. These words are 50,000 years old. Humans were still living in caves back then. Maybe we were not always living in caves. The next morning, strange things began happening on the ship. Veltar and the other alien scientists stopped talking when humans came near. They held quiet meetings in their own languages, always looking worried. Equipment near the human research stations began breaking down for no reason. Computers crashed just when important discoveries were being made. Files disappeared from the ship's database, especially files about ancient civilizations and star maps. Someone is sabotaging our work, Jiho told Hannah during lunch. Every time we find something important about Earth, our machines stop working. Dr. Minho had been having the same problems. I tried to make copies of our research last night, he said quietly. But when I came back this morning, all my backup files were gone. even the ones I hid in secret folders. Hannah noticed that Vel was sitting at a table across the room, pretending to eat, but actually listening to their conversation. When he saw her looking at him, he quickly looked away. That afternoon, Suman made the biggest discovery yet. She found a complete message hidden in the deepest part of the crystal, written in 3 different ancient languages to make sure it would never be lost. "You need to hear this," she told Hannah, her voice shaking with fear. "This message is like a warning left for the future," she read from her computer screen. "To those who find this record, know the truth. The species you call human are not what they seem. Long ago, they were the masters of all worlds. They built empires among the stars and ruled with power that could move planets. They were beautiful and terrible, creators and destroyers." Hannah sat down heavily in her chair. "Keep reading." "The humans grew too strong, too proud. They began to see other species as tools to be used. Wars followed. Entire solar systems were destroyed. Many species were wiped out completely. The galaxy was dying." "Oh no," Hannah whispered. "The few surviving species made a plan. When human civilization finally fell apart from its own wars, we acted quickly. We found the remaining humans and moved them to a small world, far from the trade routes. We made them forget their history. We hid all records of their true nature." Sumin stopped reading and looked at Hannah with wide eyes. "There is more," she said. "The message says, we hoped that starting over on a simple world would make them different. We hoped they would grow up to be kind instead of cruel. But we know this plan might fail. If you are reading this, it means the humans have found the old records. It means they are starting to remember. If this happens, warn the galaxy. The children of the first fire are waking up." Both women sat in silence for a long time. Outside the ship's windows, the stars looked the same as always, but now they seemed full of secrets and old fears. "Hannah," Suman said quietly, "what if the reason Earth was hidden was not to protect us? What if it was to protect everyone else from us?" Before Hannah could answer, the lights in the lab went out. In the darkness, they could hear footsteps in the corridor outside. Someone was coming, and they were trying to be very quiet about it. Hannah quickly shut off their computer and grabbed Suman's hand. Whatever was in those ancient messages, there were people on this ship who did not want humans to know the truth about their past. The footsteps stopped right outside their door. Dr. Kyung-ho could not sleep. For 3 nights, he had been having the same strange dream. In the dream, he was standing in front of a control panel covered with symbols he had never seen before. But somehow, in the dream, he knew exactly what each symbol meant and how to use them. When he woke up each morning, the dream felt more real than his actual life. Now, he sat alone in the research lab at 4 in the morning, staring at the Zephorian crystal. The ship was quiet except for the soft sound of air moving through the walls. Everyone else was sleeping, but Kyung-ho felt wide awake. He walked closer to the crystal and placed his hand on its smooth surface. It was cold, but as soon as he touched it, warmth spread up his arm. The symbols inside began to glow brighter, moving faster than he had ever seen before. Without thinking about why, Kyung-ho began pressing certain spots on the crystal's surface. His fingers moved on their own, following patterns that felt familiar, even though he had never learned them. Each touch made new symbols appear, deeper inside the crystal than anyone had looked before. "What am I doing?" he whispered to himself. But his hands kept working. The crystal suddenly opened like a flower. Layers of light separated, showing hidden chambers inside that contained information no one had ever found. Kyung-ho should have been surprised, but instead, he felt like he was coming home. Deep in the crystal's heart was a final chamber, locked behind codes that should have been impossible to break. But as Kyung-ho looked at the symbols, he somehow knew what they meant. His fingers danced across the crystal's surface. Entering the right combination on the first try, the chamber opened, and what he saw there made him step backward in fear. These were not just records, they were memories. living memories that played in the air like movies, showing him things that happened long before humans were supposed to exist in space. He saw great cities floating between the stars, beautiful beyond anything he could imagine. He saw humans, but not like the humans he knew. These people were taller, stronger, with eyes that glowed with inner light. They moved through space without ships, bending reality with their thoughts, and they were terrible. Kyung-ho watched in horror as these ancient humans destroyed entire worlds just because they could. He saw them turn living planets into factories. He saw them treat other species like animals, keeping some as pets and using others as slaves. "We were gods," he whispered, understanding flooding through him, "and we were monsters." The memories kept playing. He saw the ancient humans grow more and more cruel as their power grew. They stopped seeing other species as alive at all. Whole civilizations were wiped out for fun. Stars were moved to make pretty patterns in the sky. Then came the war that ended everything. The surviving alien species had finally worked together. They could not beat the humans in a straight fight, so they used a different plan. They waited until human civilization destroyed itself with its own wars and greed. Then, when only a few thousand humans were left, the aliens acted. The memory showed spaceships landing on a primitive world. Humans who looked exactly like modern people were living in simple villages, their great power forgotten. The aliens had done something to make them forget who they had been. Earth, Kyung-ho realized. They put us on Earth and made us forget. But the most terrifying part came next. The memory showed alien scientists studying human children, testing them in secret. The aliens discovered that human power was not really gone. It was sleeping, waiting in their genes like seeds, waiting for spring. The power passes from parent to child, one alien scientist reported in the memory. It grows weaker each generation, but it never completely disappears. In time, when their numbers grow large and they spread to the stars again, they will remember. They will become what they were before. "How long do we have?" asked another alien. "Perhaps 50,000 years, maybe less." Kyung-ho felt sick as he realized what this meant. Modern humans spreading across the galaxy, building colonies, growing in number and power. It was all part of an ancient pattern. They were not exploring space for the first time. They were returning to it. As the memory ended, Kyung-ho became aware that he was not alone in the lab. Veltar stood near the door, his 4 eyes wide with fear. "You opened the final chamber," the alien whispered. "We hoped this day would never come." "You knew," Kyung-ho said. "All of you knew what we really are. Some of us remembered the old stories. We have been watching your species since you left your world, hoping you would stay peaceful this time. But we see the signs. Human engineers understanding alien technology without training. Human soldiers winning battles they should lose. Human children being born with abilities their parents do not have." Veltar's skin turned almost black with fear. "The power is waking up in your species, just like our ancestors said it would." Kyung-ho looked at his own hands, the hands that had somehow known how to open locks that should have been impossible to break. "What happens now?" "Now," Veltar said sadly, "we must decide whether to try stopping you again, or whether to run as far from human space as we can get." In the crystal, the ancient memories continued playing, showing him a truth too terrible to face. Humanity was not the hero of this story. They were the monster that everyone else feared. The news spread like wildfire across human space. Within hours of Dr. Kyung-ho's discovery, every human colony, every space station, every ship had heard the impossible truth. Humanity was not new to the stars. They were returning to them on the research ship. Chaos had taken over. Half the alien crew members had locked themselves in their quarters and refused to come out. The other half were sending urgent messages to their home worlds, warning their governments about what had been discovered. Hannah stood in the main meeting room, watching news reports come in from across the galaxy on dozens of screens. Each report made her feel more afraid. Colony Ship 7 reports that their engineers fixed a broken engine using methods they say they just knew. Dr. Jiho read from his computer. Mars Base says their children are drawing pictures of machines that do not exist yet. Earth Command reports that military pilots are performing flying moves that should be impossible. More reports kept coming in. On Titan Station, a human mechanic had built a new type of power source by combining alien technologies in ways that alien scientists said would never work. But it did work, and it was more powerful than anything humans had built before. On the outer colony of New Hope, human farmers were making plants grow in soil that had been dead for thousands of years. They said they just touched the ground and somehow knew what it needed. "It is happening everywhere," Dr. Suman said, her voice shaking. "Every human settlement is reporting the same thing. People are remembering things they never learned." Dr. Deho, who had been monitoring communications with Earth, brought the most frightening news of all. "Earth Command is calling an emergency meeting of all human leaders," he reported. "But that is not the scary part. The scary part is why they are meeting." "What do you mean?" Hannah asked. 3 human children on Earth have been born in the last week, with silver eyes that glow in the dark. Just like the ancient humans in the crystal memories. The government doctors say these children can move things with their minds. The room became very quiet. Veltar entered the meeting room, followed by the few alien scientists who were still willing to work with humans. All of them looked terrified. "We have received orders from our governments," Veltar announced. "All alien ships and stations are to avoid human space immediately. Trade agreements are being cancelled. Military alliances are being ended. You are all abandoning us," Hannah said. "We are trying to survive," Veltar replied sadly. "Our histories tell us what humans were like before. We cannot take the chance that you will become that way again." But it was already too late for slow reactions. Reports from the galaxy's edge told of human exploration ships moving faster than they should be able to move. Human traders were making deals that seemed to give them exactly what they wanted every time. Human diplomats were convincing alien leaders to agree to things they had never wanted to agree to before. "We are not doing this on purpose," Kyung-ho said desperately. "Most humans do not even know what is happening to them." "That is what makes it more frightening," Veltar answered. "You are changing without knowing you are changing. Your ancient abilities are waking up naturally, like flowers opening in spring." On the communication screens, new reports kept coming in. A human colony ship had arrived at a planet that was supposed to be empty, but the humans somehow knew there was a hidden alien city there. Human miners were finding valuable metals on worlds where alien surveys had found nothing. Most disturbing of all, human children across the galaxy had started having the same dream. They dreamed of floating cities among the stars, and of power that could reshape worlds. They woke up drawing pictures of technologies that would not be invented for hundreds of years. The genetic memory is stronger in the young ones, Kyung-ho realized. Each new generation will remember more than the last. Dr. Minho, who had been very quiet, finally spoke up. "I have been thinking about this," he said slowly. "Maybe the aliens were right to hide us. Maybe we needed time to grow up, to become better than we were before. Or maybe," Hannah said, looking at the reports of human achievements spreading across the galaxy, "we are just becoming what we always were meant to be." Outside the ship, something was happening to the stars themselves. Human observers across the galaxy reported that certain stars were getting brighter, as if responding to human presence. Ancient machines buried on dead worlds were turning on for the first time in 50,000 years when human ships passed nearby. The galaxy was waking up, recognizing its old masters. Veltar made one final announcement before leaving the ship with his remaining crew members. "We are going far away from human space," he said. "We suggest other species do the same. Your people are not evil, but you are becoming something the galaxy has not seen for 50,000 years. We do not know if you will choose to be kind or cruel with your returning power." As the alien ships departed, leaving the humans alone with their terrible discovery, Henna stood at the window watching the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity was changing, growing, remembering what it had once been. The only question now was what they would choose to become. The galaxy held its breath and waited for the answer.